Warrior Women, Digital Dames Done Justice. I'm Olivia Barlow, I'll be moderating for the panel. I guess my claims to fame are writing a thesis on the gaming communities and doing a lot of academic work at the University of Sydney on that. And I'll let everyone else introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Shakari Chulyin. I'm producer and environment artist for Overcharge Studios. We're working on a visual novel to be released soon. My claim to fame is just a brief internship with Insomniac Games, and now I'm back to square one trying to do my own company.
My name's Delaney. I'm a video games artist. I've been working in the industry for about 20 years. I've worked on games like Dragon Age, Civilization 4, Dungeons & Dragons, Lord of the Rings Online, Civilization 4, did that one, Unreal Tournament 2004. And I also had brief stints at Ubisoft on the Assassin's Creed project as the character artist for 3 months. And as art director at Rocksteady. So I've done a lot of character design videos.
My name is Wren, Brier. I'm a mobile game developer. I'm an artist and currently work as a senior games artist at Well-Placed Cactus.
I'm Vikram Saran. I'm a developer from Melbourne who's currently educating in Queensland, and yeah, my research has been into animation, gendered animation specifically, especially locomotion, and basically I'm here to mansplain how to do women properly. Because I know better than you.
He's our token male.
Alright, so firstly kicking off, I feel like it's not news to anyone that we've had some issues with some feminine designs in the past. So I thought we'd kick off by an exorcism of sorts, talking about some of the issues and why they're a problem. So does anyone want to pick out someone here or in their mind that's a good example of what not to do?
Quiet.
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 Why?
Well, we did spend 5 minutes staring into the abyss. If you've played Metal Gear Solid, you'll know that at a certain point, if you sit in the helicopter, Quiet will get on all fours and do a
presentation.
A yoga-ish stretch. And then she will turn around and do that yoga-ish stretch in the other direction with her rear facing you. So it's not exactly a great example of how to animate yoga stretches for one, and any reasonable human being for another.
It's just really inappropriate. There's no reason for that to happen. And this happens in a lot of games, not just games really, but it happens a lot where characters do ridiculous poses, move in really ridiculous ways, dress inappropriately for whatever it is they're doing. So Quiet, I mean, like you're wearing a bikini to, like, what does Quiet do?
She's a sniper.
Kill people.
Yeah. I don't think that's the best attire for being a sniper, you know? Just saying. And it's just, and then you get the male gaze sort of camera angles where, you know, like you're not viewing this character as a person, you're viewing her as a sex object. It's unnecessary.
I think we can say too, like, because we're all a little gay, she's super attractive, but it's just not appropriate for what she's doing.
Yeah, it's one of the questions that always comes in when we talk about women in game design is you immediately get that, oh, but it's for the male gaze, you wouldn't know what you're talking about. And it's like, dude, I'm gay, so I like hot chicks. So it's not the male gaze we're talking about, it's how we handle women in a respectful way. It's not women versus men. That's not the question, and it always comes down to that when you talk online. But it's for boys, it's not for you.
I actually find that pretty offensive. Like, I feel like I would be offended if I were a guy that someone would think that all I want of female characters is tits and ass. Like, I imagine that dudes want a bit more nuance than that, but they also want female characters that they can care about.
No.
No. Oh, okay. Sorry.
As the token nerd. That's all I care about.
Yeah. Right?
There was another wonderful argument. I was talking to a gay male, and he was saying that playing through these games, you know, it's like great, and then there's this girl who's just all over you and he's like, I don't want to see that, thank you. So again, there is a bit of male gaze that it doesn't work with
That's the tracer issue again as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to, yeah, do we want to elaborate?
Let's talk about tracer, shall we?
Butts.
Butts.
That's all I need to say.
Everyone likes a good butt. I think that's almost a given. I'm going to go with, most people like a good butt. Now, your definition of a good butt might be a different definition of what I think is a good butt. That's true. Tracer's butt, everyone, people look at that butt and say, that's a nice butt, but she doesn't need to put it on display. I think the whole Tracer issue was it wasn't suitable for her character.
It wasn't, it wasn't suitable for a character, for a personality. Like, if you had a character whose personality would necessitate something like that, then sure. But it just didn't seem to gel with with everything else we've been shown that is Tracer.
For me, Tracer was a glorious double punch. In that, yes, when she was first shown in her screen, she had a bum presented in it, and that was the pose. It was a here you are, boys, like, quick, right? And then, so for point one, they corrected it. Huge shitstorm, right? From the males, this is, okay. And then two, they made it gay. So it was just like, gotcha. Not for you.
Not my precious Tracer.
Yeah, I know. Like,
my waifu.
I want a refund. It's like, dude, your chances of getting in bed with this digital character you're talking to me, pretty slim.
I feel like that's a point that's worth articulating what we were talking about earlier, is that, none of us want to see the end of sexy. We're either gay or we're straight or we're into both, but we want to see sexy characters. It's just, that's not all we want to see, especially from women. Women exist on more than just a plane from sexy to evil.
Or sexy and evil.
Or sexy and evil, right?
Evil is pretty sexy though.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. I just wish I had an option sometimes.
Yeah, and you've got one of the slides a bit later that we talk about as the female character as the character type female.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Get to that in a
We'll
minute,
get
but
So
that keys into this very much.
now that we've exercised some of those demons, and I think we could talk all day really about our gripes with feminine character design, is some of the characters that we think work or we personally like, and why it is that we think those characters not necessarily are better than their sexier counterparts, but why it's a more open approach.
Oh, well, I went for a bit of an obvious choice of Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, because I actually stopped playing games for a while, and now I'm playing them again, loving it. So she's the most recent female character I've been playing recently. I think her design works. Yes, her personality and character is a bit flat, but I just like all the outfits you can wear. There's nothing revealing about it, and it works well the way she's running through, even like in snowy areas as well. Just the flow, the movement, the way just really solid and fluid motion as well, which I think Vikram loved that too. I don't think you've played it.
Not yet.
But yeah, if you're researching that topic too, I think it works well.
Sort of leading into this panel, we don't want to make this a negative panel. We don't want to just go rah, 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 this is all wrong. We want to kind of give an impression of how to do things better. And so we wanted to give good examples. And leading into this panel, I was racking my brain for good examples. And honestly, from an animation viewpoint, it's really, really hard to pinpoint any female character that is animated in a way that isn't overly sexualized. And I'll talk about the research and the exact numbers behind it later on, but we eventually kind of got together and they gave me some hints. And FIFA 2016 is probably the best animated female characters out of any game I've seen to date, and there's exactly one reason for it. It's mocapped, and they barely touched it up afterwards. And so when you motion capture real women and then put them into a game, surprisingly, you get characters that are recognizable as female and are well animated. Who would have thought that?
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's just amazing.
It's almost like there's only like half an inch hip width distance that throws it out. Crazy, huh?
So for my character, I picked May from Night in the Woods. And May actually is quite different from the rest of these characters because she's, she doesn't appear outwardly like feminine. You could look at her and she could be male or female. For anyone who doesn't know, she's the little cat with the bat. She could be anything, but I mean, she's a cat. Like, I get so pissed off at all these cartoon animals where it's like all the dudes get a variety of different shapes and appearances, and the girls, it's like, oh, but this is a girl cat. It needs boobs. It needs tiny waist, and it's like, I mean, I have no problem with, with furries and anthro characters, like, do whatever you want, that's fine, but it's like, why is it always like this? Why do we never get characters that just, like, if it's an animal, just fucking let it be an animal, it doesn't need boobs.
Cats do have boobs.
Yeah, but
But do lizards?
Lizards don't.
But why do all of our lizard characters have boobs?
I mean, I guess that is a bigger worry, but also, like, our cat characters with boobs don't have, like, 6 or 8, it's...
Yeah, they should have 8 boobs.
Yeah, but we don't see that either, So, it's a bit ridiculous, so...
This is what we're reduced to when we talk about feminine characters.
Boobs.
Does this character have boobs?
Yeah.
What kind of boobs do they have?
It's like,
How should we portray the boobs the best?
There's also the excellent, oh, it's female, let's give it eyelashes so people would know. It's so dumb. So I love that May is not that, and May is female, like, is referred to as female from the start of the game, and, like, May is even bisexual, and that is addressed in the game. And it's fantastic, and she's a fully fleshed character, and she is, like, probably feminine in certain behaviors, but she's not outwardly feminine, and she's still a female character, and she's a great example of one, in my opinion.
I was going to go with Major slash, I think Demon, I can't remember her name, from Quake 3 as the first one I encountered where I'm like, oh, this is a strong female character. Yeah, she has boob armor. She does have boob armor, but compared to the other characters of that era, it's actually quite tasteful. She's a strong military female character, and she's scarred. And that was the first time I saw a woman who was a strong character in a game. And Quake 3, I mean, the artist was Paul Steed, the late Paul Steed. Don't want to speak ill of the dead, but he was tits and ass. That was his forte. He was well known for it. His book on sculpting characters is all about DNA. But that character was one of, say, 3 or 4 characters which we'd never seen before. And one of those was Lizzie in that character. It was the first overweight female character. It was played a little for laughs, but there was a Terminator version of her as well. So you could play an overweight woman robot in Quake 3. And we talk a lot about Ubisoft saying it was too expensive to make a female skeleton, right? Quake 3, all the way back then, had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 female skeletons that I can think of. Yeah.
So the point there, obviously, is dispelling the myths around it. It's not that hard to do, and it can be done well, even back then. So let's talk about some of the main issues that, we personally have with female design in games, and what the best way to address it is. So the first sort of issue is the lack of variety, which we've touched on a lot. Why is it always a female with big boobs, tiny waist? I mean, A, it's just boring, but B, there's so many different ways to be a woman, to be feminine, and it would be nice if it wasn't the same thing over and over. So let's talk to that a bit.
This one's my pet peeve. Can I start?
Please.
Thank you. I actually did like a whole unit on this in university because it bothers me so much. So you get male characters that come in so many different shapes. So for example here, yeah, you've got Ents, and they're these big hulking monsters who are, well, I guess a lot of the time they're good or whatever, but they're like tree monsters. They are recognizable as tree monsters. You've got actual, dinosaurs. You've got whatever that is. I mean, this is from Oglap, this is from the comic making fun of this, so obviously these are not real examples, but like the real examples are pretty much like this.
Warcraft,
Warcraft.
orcs, female orcs.
Yeah, it's like you've got all these creatures and characters with very different shapes, and then you've got the female version is like a babe in a bikini in a different color, you know? It's like a green babe in a bikini. Okay, so this is not okay. This is really boring. Women come in so many different shapes and sizes. And like, for example, I never see anyone in games who looks like me. I've never seen anyone who looks like me. I guess the closest now is May from Overwatch, and she's fantastic. And yet you still have people who go like, oh no, but under the coat she's skinny. Like, we cannot accept that there is a cute, like, fat character in this game. It's so dumb, and she's so rare. Like, she's such a rare example.
It's that constant message all the time that you're not welcome, you're not in this world, you're not part of this world.
You don't exist.
You don't exist unless you are this one thing. It's tiring.
And we're about to talk about clothing practicality, but before we get to practicality, I think a lot of character designers may not have a lot of experience with the female fashion world. And for those of you who buy clothes for, stereotypically female clothes, you'll know that every line, every designer has different clothes for different shapes. And anyone can get clothes that are flattering, that fit, and that suit, and that are nice for them. They're available, they're around, so you don't have the only female shape is defined by, this classic female hourglass dress. That's not the only female clothing options available out there. There's plenty of the long draping over the top. Like look at the fashion trends for the last 6 years. We've cycled through about 3 decades worth of material as inspiration, right? There is so much out there, and we're not using a lot of clothing options. And clothing options can be used by, some people use clothing options to hide their body shape. So the idea of May is actually a skinny girl with a big coat. That doesn't really, I've never seen a skinny girl wearing a coat that's not the kind of coat that a skinny girl would wear if she wanted to hide her silhouette. There are coats that skinny girls will wear to hide their silhouettes, and there are coats that, bigger girls will wear because they want to match their silhouette, and that's totally fine. We have lots of flexibility there. We don't have to lock it down.
Yeah, a lot of young designers who I teach, I talk to them and it's like, do you understand clothing? Do you understand even the fabrics that you're working with here? Generally, you'll see they'll start working in black and white, work with pens, draw an outline of the silhouette, and they're all about silhouette. And God, that's the one thing we're arguing about a lot. It's like, look at the silhouette, there's character. Women come with many different silhouettes and shapes and forms, and those silhouettes are the things that make characters immediately obvious when you see them from a distance. Silhouette, form, motion, first thing you pick up on. And we're just being starved of a great range of options here. Students need to learn costumes. If you guys are students here and you want to get into this stuff, makeup, hair, costumes. You're a character artist. You are the makeup department, the hair department, the costume department. That's you. Right?
Spend a weekend walking around Maya and David Jones. Just pick up clothes and look at what they look like. It's all so different.
Yeah, but then clothes and makeup and hair and all those things also should be secondary to the silhouette, which should be your silhouettes of your different characters in your game should vary if you can do that. The thing is that this is not just about, if you've got monsters, then the female characters are always the same. It's also when you've got humans, in cartoons and things, you see humans come in, human men come in this great variety of shapes. You've got ones that have huge broad shoulders and they're these big brutes, and maybe they're a little fat too. And then you've got, you've got maybe just a really chubby guy, or you've got a skinny tall dude. You've got all these different shapes, and then you've got woman.
Yeah.
And it's always the same.
I had this because I'm a very tall, broad woman. So friends were like, oh, we're cosplaying DC. Do you want to come in and join us? And we'll cosplay. I said, yeah, great. I'll just go through all the DC characters, you know, because it's got to be one with my body type. Like Marvel, yeah, I could do She-Hulk. Cool, good. There's a body type for me. DC, they're all tiny. All of them. And Wonder Woman was taken. So,
Yeah.
And then
Wonder Woman is your one choice.
your one choice and you're muscular. Yeah.
Now, speaking of Wonder Woman, this is a terrible segue, but I'm going to go with it.
Nice segue.
Wonder Woman is known by her outfit. You get where I'm going here? All right. We're talking about character design, right? And how certain characters wear certain things for what they do. But often, because they're female, their primary purpose in the game is to look sexy. So you get things like Quiet, where she's wearing a bikini, but she's a soldier. So let's talk to that for a bit. We've already touched on it a little bit, but let's.
Yeah, the armor bikinis are like, they make me cringe too. Because it's like, if it's like a sharp metal or steel, like, isn't it gonna stick in? Like, shouldn't she wear like a comfy outfit underneath
you need a
first?
jerkin underneath. It's
Yeah.
to pinch crap out of it.
Like, I don't want to go bang and then my tits.
One of the things, when you're a fantasy artist, one of the things you will encounter again and again is the overlap between fetish and fantasy. So you'll see this all the way through. A fantasy world has fetish gear, fetish corsets and stuff like that. All those things you'll see repeated time and time again. And even when you apply it to the male characters as well, you'll see the same thing. There's strap, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's all very much kink gear. And there's a lot of overlap between the two. So yeah, we've kind of, since the 70s, or even the 60s, been used to that being fed to us as, oh, this character is a fantasy character. So, oh, they're wearing kink gear, there must be a fantasy character. We're pushing these together in our minds, in our culture. So you have to learn to unseparate those and use them as and when appropriate, I guess.
Exactly. Like let's not pretend there's anything wrong with kink. We all love to get kinky, but
Oh yeah.
it doesn't always have to be that. Like going back to the variety is the spice of life. Like if this is what is in our mind as a fantasy character, how do we diversify that? How do we make it more interesting?
well,
You can talk about boob armor or something.
I mean,
No, go for it, yeah.
I don't know.
I think boob armor is on point at this moment, Delaney, if you want to.
Yeah,
Okay, who here has been hit in the chest with a sword? Right. Who here would want to wear boob armor and have be hit in the chest with a sword? Thank you, right. Can we just point out how goddamn hot these women are? Yeah? Can we have any agreement here? This is hot. Perfectly hot. And this is what we're talking about here. Well, yeah, obviously. Yeah. This is sexy. A strong woman in armor. It's not sexualized, and that's the difference. Sexualized, sexy.
Also, this is practical.
Aha!
And yeah, my partner was telling me just the other day, boob armor actually directs the sword to the center of your chest, where armor is actually supposed to do the opposite of that. It's so dumb.
Who here lost their shit during the last Star Wars movie when the stormtrooper went up to the guy and immediately started talking in a female voice? You're like, the armor's exactly the same as the boys. It's brilliant.
And there's always a kickback on that as well.
Yeah.
You know, there was people saying, well, I can't tell that it's a woman. As though that's the first thing you think of.
Excuse me, sorry, I have to call bullshit on that one, and this is my area, right? So, how can you tell that somebody is female or male? And frankly, the silhouette, the shape, the color, the makeup, none of that matters. I can give you a higher than 80% identification rate from putting dots on hips, knees, and ankles. Right? If you can see nothing but the dots of the major joints, you get a higher than 80% identification rate of whether that series of dots walking is male or female. Right? So bullshit that the silhouette needs to represent the gender. You can represent it through animation, right? And you don't need to move the hips as far as what you need, right? As what people think you need. It is a 33% maximal velocity difference. In fact, I can give you an even simpler rule of thumb. If you're animating a male character and then a female character, take your male character's skeleton and apply it to the female character, and then swap the amount of rotation that you apply to the shoulders across and the hips across, because women move their hips exactly as much as men move their shoulders, and that's it. And if you just swap, if you invert that triangle, right, men move their shoulders so much, women move their hips that exact amount, you will get that, close to 100% identification.
Rocksteady.
And it doesn't, it's not rocket science, it's 33% maximum lateral velocity. You just swap your shoulders and hips and you can tell whether it's male or female, and they can wear the same armor.
Here's an interesting study that I was keyed on now. For those of us who are transgender, we worry a lot about whether someone can tell what gender we are perceived as from our facial features. And what they did is they did a study where they showed male and female images, okay, simplified down to line drawings. And they showed you, and you had to pick whether it was boy or a girl. Boy, girl, boy, girl. Binary as hell. Very bad. But you had to pick. Now here's the fun thing. They showed the same images multiple times, and depending on context, you'd pick differently.
Whether the previous image was female or male influenced your chance of the next image being female or male.
Exactly.
And the previous one was, I'm guessing, as well.
And the fail rate was huge. Yeah. Absolutely huge. So depending on context, you will be perceived completely differently. And that's just looking at a model, a mesh. Motion, however.
And here's the thing about motion. That's not a hard and fast, that's not a guaranteed rule. Even in studies where they've got a fairly large sample size of like n equals 40, there are women in that study who were coded by the observers as more masculine than half of the men. There were anomalies. And you know what the researchers did with that?
Threw them out?
That's an outlier, we're going to ignore that. Everything else is true, but that's an outlier, we're going to ignore it.
It's almost like gender is bullshit.
It's almost like you could just create a slider that says moves hips more or moves shoulders more, and let the player choose whether they want to be completely in the middle and androgynous as hell, or completely coded to be masculine or coded to be feminine. They could do whatever they want. And okay, you've done more than a little bit of animation. You would know that, I'm an animation tech. I've done coding for animation tools. I'm pretty sure I could whip that up in about an afternoon. And for you to then go off and polish it, how long do you think? A couple of hours?
I had a massive slap-down fight with the head animator at Rocksteady because he didn't want to put female player characters into the multiplayer of the game we were working on. And I said that I could do it in an afternoon. And he called bullshit on it. And so I went into 3ds Max and I ported all his skeletons across, filtered them, had it running.
Done.
And he still wouldn't accept it.
Well, that's the problem, right? We know that the gender is bullshit, but people seem to think that women have to move like this. I don't know if this is actually going to play.
There's a link and you can just try to play it in the slide.
We're not currently connected to the internet. That's going to be an issue.
That's going to be an issue.
We've got
So
tech
we're just going to
coming
not
up.
play that.
Okay.
We're just going to sit awkwardly.
We do it in hand puppets.
The video to give you a brief
So
rundown. Do you want to
let me
talk
just
to
sort
it?
of give a bit of groundwork for the video we're about to watch. I don't remember which game. I believe it's Final Fantasy something or other. Somebody found that they could take the female animations and apply them to the male skeleton, and male animations and apply them to the female skeleton. And so the male animations applied to the female skeleton, the female character looked fine. Nobody could tell the difference. When you applied the female animations to the male character, the name was Hawk, I believe, it was so ridiculous that when I was presenting my research, I put on that 5-minute video on and didn't say a word. And a room full of researchers just looked at it and they got what I was talking about, because you can see the ridiculousness of a female animation on a male frame easier, because there's just, you don't think it's normal because it hasn't been coded to be normal. And when you see this character running and their hips sway further out than their shoulders, like it looks like they're a pendulum, it's really obvious. So hopefully, is that video working?
Unfortunately, we're not going to get it to
animate.
work. But I would recommend viewing later. Sorry about that, friends.
What can we search together?
Male hawk, female running animation. Hawk with an E.
I think the idol ones are even better though. Like they're also in the same video. The idols are just beautiful.
Can I quote one line from a lovely research paper that I think is fantastic? Sure. It's one line, in their introduction, they threw it away. We found no difference in the resting, standing stance between our male and female actors. If your idol has your female character's vagina placed over their right foot or their left foot, I don't discriminate between which foot you're putting it over, but don't put their genitals over their foot. Nobody stands like that. It's not comfortable. When I try to stand like that as a demonstration, my hip pops out. Like, it's not realistic. There is no difference in idle animation or standing, resting state between men and women. We don't need to animate that. And people complain, oh, it's going to take so much time to change our animations over. Other than walking and running, 100% of the animations should be the same.
Yeah. This is the thing, like, I get called up on this a lot because I was working at Ubisoft. I was character artist on Assassin's Creed. I did Stormwall project. But the whole thing that people said, oh, you worked at Ubisoft. What's that whole thing about Ubisoft saying it's too expensive to animate the female characters?
That was just one person.
It's just like, are you kidding? That is the biggest pile of bullshit ever. It's just ridiculous that the excuses that have been made over the years to dump the female characters. Like there was a female character in Assassin's Creed 1, and I've got it right here, which I can't show anybody. I don't know if you've seen it. There was a female character in Assassin's Creed 1. It got
tempting yourself.
I know. It got cut out, and it wasn't a new thing for Ubisoft. Like every Assassin's Creed, it's been pushing, and we get cut out, and then they put in what, the token one?
Evie Fry. And on the topic of Evie Fry, we were looking at the videos. Evie Fry, the female character from Assassin's Creed, the British one.
Unity?
Is it Unity? Who knows? What's it? Syndicate, thank you. Evie Fry is the female character. She's one of the twins. She is, basically Ubisoft's attempt. Let's throw a good female character in there, and they kind of get it working. And a lot of women like that character. It's great. And then the rest of the panel asked me, "How's the animation?" And I took one look at her standing still and said, "Nope." And then I took one look at her running across a rooftop, and she runs again like she's a pendulum. And it's, they try to mask it because they put a cape over the top, but you can clearly see that the animation was done with what do we think female looks like rather than what is female.
And just something I wanted to talk about as well. If you could go back to the 3D slide, sorry. We put in this. It's not video games, but the same thing happens in games. You've got female poses, right? Like, you've got the original poster at the top where all the male characters are in these power poses, and then Black Widow is like tits and ass. How do we get both tits and ass showing at the same time? There we go.
Yeah.
The twist. And some beautiful soul took this poster and flipped it around and put Black Widow in a power pose and everyone else in a twist pose or like in some kind of revealing pose.
I think the Hulk should be immortalized like that.
I know.
The Hulk ever. So, actually, no, I'm always angry. He just turns his ass.
Yeah, just don't do that. Just please don't. Why can't your female character be posed the same as your male character?
This is the thing that is, people have been bitching about the new Star Wars poster, saying it looks like fan art. I'm like, no, you don't get it. Luke Skywalker, first ever poster, power pose, really strong. Every single character, male character with a lightsaber, has got the power pose. Bring up the freaking power pose! And that's it, it's the entire poster. It just sums the whole film up in one go. Chick, power pose.
This is the thing that kind of leads into what we'll be talking about as female as archetype, right? But the thing is, females have power fantasies just as much as males do.
Yes.
And the issue isn't so much sexualization or being sexy or having sexy characters. The problem is that's the only fantasy we ever get to live out. We are always Bayonetta. We're never Hawkeye. We're never Iron Man. That's a problem.
And generally, like, we're not, like the female characters that we see in games, they're not our fantasy, they're men's fantasies. They are straight men's fantasies, yes. They are seen from the male point of view. It's like male characters are power fantasies. I mean, this is not, this is obvious, but male characters are men's power fantasies, and female characters are men's sexual fantasies. It's just not, we don't get to have a power fantasy. And yes, there's like Bayonetta, but like Olivia was saying, that's kind of still the only thing we get.
And it's like one of the things, like, I'm a massive Buffy fan, but when they finally did Buffy comes back on season, I think 3, they had the power pose at the end when she's holding the African throwing knife, and I think a lot of women were just like, yes, yes. And yeah, actually the video game for Buffy was really good for that as well. But yeah, I can't think of that many examples.
So let's talk a little bit about females archetype, and then I think we'll have a little bit of time for questions. So if anyone has anything burning, start formulating that now. This is otherwise known as the Smurfette principle, right?
Smurfette,
yeah. It's like all the, like, so I can't really think of like any proper examples off the top of my head, but there's always like the male characters, like all these like different cool little characters. Like if you're going to like more a cartoony type game, they're always like little tiny guys, like big tall, like all different variety of shapes of the guys.
Fast guy, the tank,
yeah,
the nerd.
yeah. And then in like there's ones where like there's a male and female couple as well, and the guy is like, well, there's like the whole Roger Rabbit thing. He's this like cool looking rabbit character, and then the girl's just like, it's the waist, the stick, the boobs.
Yeah. So Roger Rabbit, like they're kind of paying that out. Like he's a rabbit, and then like his babe is like, you know, this really hot, actually human woman who is absolutely a stereotype.
Yeah. Why couldn't she be over, you know, like, well, not that, but like different examples.
Yeah.
Like, why can't the female look like the same?
Well, generally,
Actually, when you have, there's a funny little story. I met Richard Williams, and he was talking about Jessica Rabbit when he did the tour, and he was saying that he would draw Jessica Rabbit with enormous boobs, and Steven Spielberg would come in and go, and this went on and on. He pushed them out, and Steven would come in and pull them down. And then about that time, he said that Steven started seeing Kate Capshaw.
What's that?
Kate Capshaw, the actress from Indiana Jones.
Oh.
And he's now married. She's Mrs. Spielberg now. But he started seeing her, and she's a more endowed lady. And he came in one day, and he just went like the tit stick, walked off. And I was just like, oh, good God. Oh, God. Oh, this is the I'm just sitting there going, nice story, bro.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a story behind why she got overly sexualized. It's this push-pull, push-pull, push-pull.
Yeah, that annoys me as well. Like, if it's like character customization, like when you get to design your character's shape, like on the male, the slider for weight or something, you know, and he just gets, like, his whole body gets bigger, and then the female, if you slide the weight one, the boobs and tits get bigger, not the other bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes the thighs a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, because
only
you
the
need
sexy
thick,
bits.
you need thick thighs.
Only the sexy bits.
The double C.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you get like a cast of characters are all different, and then you get female as essentially a character type or a character personality. That's her personality. She is a woman, and it's so boring. Like
Smurfette.
Smurfette, yeah, because you've got all the different Smurfs, and then you've got Smurfette.
And we
Female
always know
Smurf.
that she's always going to be emotional, and she's always going to be vulnerable.
Yeah, well, we're not
She's
even
very
talking
Smurf with high
about
heels as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. She's going to rock heels.
Yeah.
She's going to be a great cook. She's
Oh,
going to
this
be
is what you were
nurturing.
talking about,
Generally,
Delaney,
like,
in
we're
that
not talking about-
some characters actually have stilettos built into their feet.
Yes.
Like this is the point that we've gotten to, where we can't even get away from that in creating a creature.
Angelina Jolie in Beowulf had an extra toe, and it came down with a stiletto at the back.
Yeah.
There's a great video, I don't know if you see it, of Tron Legacy, and they've got Olivia Wilde. You know that scene where she's got the two lightsaber things? Not lightsabers, lightsaber things, and she's fighting. They show, like, she's kicking and fighting, and then they show her in the long shot, and she's got the high heel wedges on, and they've got two assistants helping her down the stairs. It's like, she couldn't do nothing in those shoes, so she was wearing sneakers for the whole film, except for the long shots. And yet that's how they design us. When they design we think like
Exactly, and I mean,
Yes.
let's not forget, I mean, we're gamers, we love fantasy, we love to pretend that we're something we're not. The main point is, and drawing on the things we've talked about already, variety, and design your character to suit what they do, you know. If they've got 2 lightsabers in hand, maybe wedges that they can't walk in is a little bit unbelievable, it might take us out a little bit. But we are running a little bit to time, so let's talk to some of the points that we wanted to give as advice from people that have worked in the industry. How do we make our characters more diverse? How do we avoid those pitfalls of the cliches, the stereotypes, the over-sexualization for no point?
And can we keep this a bit short so we have time for maybe a couple questions?
Yeah.
Well, do we all want to, there's 4 dot points up there. Do we want to do one of those each?
All right.
I'll do the design one.
Okay, sure.
You
Well,
mean
the top one we already kind of covered.
Yeah.
Pretty
Well,
much.
I may as well cover that one then, because
Go for it.
there's nothing wrong with being sexy. Everyone likes somebody who's sexy. Sexy means different things. You don't have to sexualize somebody so that they're sexy for the camera, right? And I think that's kind of what sexualized is. Sexy is somebody who's confident in their sexuality and they're happy to display it if they want to. Sexualized is they're kind of taking the consent away from you.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that's kind of dangerous. So just think, is the character revealing their sexuality because it makes them feel good, or is it because it makes you feel good, right? And that's really just the line there, and it's a fairly clean line, I think. It's not really that hard of a...
It's not hard, and we always be up on quiet, but I just want you to play Metal Gear again quiet, and I want you to imagine she's wearing a full-on bodysuit to the neck. The way her face moves is so erotically charged, so beautiful. They didn't need to do that. She
Put
is
her in
a
a
very
fish net.
emotive character, brilliantly done from here on. That's sexy, that's sexualized.
Do you want to cover the design question there?
Yeah, form follows function. You go to design school, first thing you learn, form follows function. Whenever I design anything, I start with function. And unfortunately the function, in our case, is to titillate. So let's look at other functions. Start with the functions, design from those first. And that's all you really need to do to create a good female character. I'm constantly pushing back against clients who, that's great, can you make it sexier? What does that
and
mean?
then finally, bad design being a barrier to inclusion, which is something again you were talking about, Delaney, is a really interesting way of tying in character design to the gamer experience. So did you want to talk a little bit to that before we take questions?
I wanted to talk about bad design.
Go for it.
Yeah, bad design is a barrier to inclusion. You are effectively telling your audience, like, this game is not for you. This game is for dudes to ogle women. It's like, have you ever tried to recommend a game or a show? I find, like, with anime, this happens to me the most, where I want to recommend it to a friend, and unless that friend is already familiar with the sort of tropes you see in anime, I'll often find, like, I can't recommend it because it's got the compulsory, boobs bouncing everywhere, or panty shots, or like these just really, super male gazy bits that just make me feel like this wasn't intended for me, this wasn't intended for this friend I want to recommend it to. It's just not, it's like a way to tell some of your audience we're not interested. Just make your designs inclusive, make your designs appropriate for more people.
I think the term, anime fans correct me if I'm saying it wrong, but it's bishoujo?
Bishoujo?
Yeah, that one, the beautiful girl.
Yeah, what about her?
Yeah, I know that's what you were saying before. I think that's the term.
Oh, yeah, but I'm talking more about just like the etchy bits.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, did anyone have any questions for our design team before we head?
Yes.
Hi.
Okay.
Over there.
Over there.
We'll go with her first.
Polite. First
First
blood gets my phone.
Sort of in relation to that last dot point there, just the idea with fat characters, but fat women in particular, in video games, and the silhouette, and in so many of these games you are being very active, and one of the main arguments people use is, oh, that a fat character running around isn't realistic. How do you sort of combat and address that?
Oh my god, don't get me started.
Have you ever seen a weightlifter? Women's weightlifting, hello?
You know, we don't. Look at what's her name, Steffi Graf. Is it Steffi Graf? Have you seen her do American Ninja? Holy crap!
Amazing.
Amazing. That's the body type of the sort of physicality that our characters do. In truth, Faith wouldn't be able to do what she does in Mirror's Edge, even if we took away the ridiculous survival of jumping so far that you'd snap your ankles. But she just wouldn't have the core strength to do it. But if you look at Steffi, like, she's a solid thing. Very, still feminine.
I don't know, like, have you looked at humans? Like, humans run, all kinds of humans run. I run, I'm not very lightweight, and I run. It's just, there's this whole attitude of fat people are not allowed to exercise, but also you gotta exercise because you need to lose weight, you fat ass. So, it's just, but do it somewhere where I can't see. It's just this gross.
Yeah, I don't want to see you in workout clothes. Now, have you seen female shot putters? Right? They are tanks. Yeah. They put that man to size, and he's a tank.
Come back here.
Female shot putters are big women, right? And they're not. It's not rippling muscle. They're just big. They eat a lot, and they throw further than anyone else. Okay?
Hands up who's ever known anyone or isn't somebody who is fat but strong and healthy. There is a stupid, there is a stupid idea that if you're fat, you're unfit, you're weak, you don't have cardiovascular strength.
And you're probably sick, probably have all kinds of problems.
Yeah, and you have, you don't look after yourself, etc. It's like, no, I like burgers. I work out, but I eat burgers. Yeah. We have this weird idea that these two are not related, so you can make chunkier women in games. You can, or at least give the option for it. But, it doesn't have to be the main character as well. Just give us other characters. They're all just hot babes.
All right, we better move on to the next question, because otherwise we're going to run late.
Hello?
So my question kind of extends from that. We live in a world where there are women fighters, women in the military. Ronda Rousey is hugely famous. In Australia, even last year, one of the major historical sword fighting events was won by a woman, and this is an open tournament where women fight men. Why are these people not getting mocap? Why are women who actually fight, who beat up anyone in the room, not being used for motion capture for these games?
Can I?
Sorry.
So it's
my hearing's a bit bad at the end.
It sounds like the question is, why are people who actually can do the thing not the ones being recorded to visualize the thing?
Is this
right?
a question?
Yep, so I have a background in martial arts, and frankly, video game depiction of fighting is just, I wouldn't even go as far as to say it's stylized, it's just bad, right? So there are some games that are trying to do different, and they generally go for fighting mocap people. But the developers who are making games around realistic fighting, if you look at Kingdom Come Deliverance and what they're doing with their sword fighting, the reason why they're doing it is because half of the developers do sword fighting, so when they mocap, they just mocap themselves, right? So we don't go out to Ronda Rousey and say, let's make Punch Out 3D. That sounds like an awesome game, though. Sorry,
the other thing you've got to remember is that video games are not and will not be reality. And one of the things that a lot of animators come across is they do wind-ups for attacks. The minute you hit that button, you want to smack it. You want that bang, right? In actual fact, you've got probably a bit of a feint and then a wind that happens. If you put that in a game, so
it would just seem unresponsive.
It would seem horribly unresponsive. So
and fighters would get mad because that's called telegraphing, and that means you're bad.
Yes.
Yeah, so when you want to hit somebody, you hit them, and you don't tell them you're about to hit them.
Yeah. So there is always an artificiality in there. You have to compensate for that. But in general, just for insurance purposes, we get people who are very, very good at what they do. So yeah, they are stunt women, they are stunt actors who are doing those things. But on top of that, you then have to animate and modify it, because games are not reality. And that kind of, yeah, it does affect it. And so yeah, I come from a martial arts background as well, and I'm looking at some of the stuff. Yeah, okay, whatever.
All right, we're going to have to wrap it up there. I don't want to wear out our welcome, but if you do have questions for us, I think we'll be sticking around later, or you can hit us up on Twitter. Thank you all so much for coming, and have a great rest of the con.